so many things have gone wrong this week. You have no idea. Yet, we've managed here at Starbase 80 to pull out a little bit of a win, and that is the regular Captain John, not here. Puppet Captain John, I even wore my tie. So, let's begin the gosh darn show, shall we? Yeah, this is terrible, I know. Oh my goodness. Welcome to PICARDist, the show that reviews season 3 of Picard. I am your host for the week, Puppet Universe version of Captain John. And you're going to be surprised. But Joe Townsell, my co-host of this show, is here. And you're going to be thrilled, if not just a touch disappointed, because Joe Townsell, our commander, is not a puppet. He is Joe. Hi, Joe.
Well, hello, Puppet Universe Captain John. I tell you, I mean, for those of us that were just terrified at the prospect of ruthless, evolving changelings, that's nothing compared to the sheer terror of Puppet Universe Captain John.
Oh God, I am such a terrible, terrible show host. I will admit, I will tell you folks at home that John had a dental mishap, and right now he looks like a crazy hobo. Looks like a murderous hobo. And so instead of making you look at John's jack-o'-lantern grin, and it's and my dentist has no openings till next week. So really, you're so much better off with Joe and the puppet. That's really that's our best option right now.
Okay, so just for abbreviation purpose, I would say
Yes.
PU Captain John.
Yes.
For Puppet Universe.
Yes.
Are you telling me that this is an improvement over even a slightly damaged real Captain Prime Universe Captain John?
I gotta tell you, the missing tooth in the front of John's mouth is so disturbing. It's better to watch the puppet. It really is. Puppet is better in this case.
Okay, we'll have to take your word for that. But again, it is quite unsettling. I will get accustomed to it during the show as we get going. And I guess the only remaining terrifying prospect in the future is that someday we may be invaded by PU Joe Townsell. I hope not, but we'll just have to brace ourselves just in case.
Oh my goodness! Happen, people.
Oh,
woo! So, Mr. Townsell,
yes, sir.
Where were we when last we were taking a look at the crew of the USS? I want to say
Titan.
Oh, whoops! I was mixing it up with the Star Trek role-playing game I used to play with some friends.
Well, that's okay, because we can blame any errors on coming from this part of the broadcast on PU Captain John, the real Captain John, who would never make that type of error, would never dub himself Captain Dumbass, nothing like that. But we will attribute any faux pas to PU Captain John, despite his best efforts to fill in.
Hey, PU Captain John is not perfect by any means. Even my failure to lip sync more than half the things I'm saying is in question. So
what is perfect is PU Captain John's hairstyle. That I would dub perfection.
seriously, like Prime Universe, Captain John wishes he had this so much. You don't even know. And the tie. I just love this tie.
And you
'Cause
dressed
I'm a
up for the
form-
occasion.
It's formal.
Yes.
So Joe, we have I don't know about this episode. I really don't. There were parts of it that I absolutely loved. But there were parts that made me wonder if maybe we're dragging out the mystery a little bit. Do you have a feeling anywhere along those lines, yay or nay?
Oh, probably along what you're saying, the mystery box we have currently with the mysterious red branches and
Yeah,
Dr. Crusher's voice whispering to Jack from afar,
that's weird.
come to me, come back, hear me.
So weird.
That part of it to me is right now, as of episode 5, is the least interesting aspect of the season.
Yeah. Yep.
Now we have gotten um good payoffs of other things, which I'm going to ask you about one of them in particular.
Mhm.
So in that vein, maybe it's time to cover some beats and then get on some down and dirty after that.
I think you are absolutely right, Mr. Townsend. It's time. Hang on. Here it is. Hang on. It's time that we got the beat. We got the beat. Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
No, I do dig PU Captain John's headbanging there. I'm sorry I didn't join in, but I'll have to keep that in mind for future episodes.
No, that's quite all right. That's quite all right. It hurts the neck. And my neck is a wrist and a forearm. So I'm risking nothing.
It hurts the wrist.
So the beats. Oh my
beat.
gosh.
And there are beats aplenty.
There are beats aplenty in this episode. So where do you think we should start, Mr. Townsend?
Well, where else can we start? I mean, it's become a so-called new Star Trek trope where we often start with either a flashback or a bad dream, and we got option number 2 this week. We have the bad dream / foreboding / vision of Jack Crusher, of him in uniform, Starfleet uniform,
Ooh.
basically assassinating the entire bridge crew who are kind of chilling, yawning, what have you.
The people that we've really come to love on that bridge too.
Of course, and we'll find out later why it's just those select people, but okay, fine. It's part of the mystery box. What's going on in Jack's head? What's happening there? Will it pay off? We can only hope. But hopefully. So, from directly from that little bit of a bad dream, we have the first of our Picard, Riker, and 7 confabs. Okay, well, what's going to happen next? We're highfalutin it. We're hightailing it out away from what was the nebula, and they're making good their escape. No Shrike, no Vatic, to worry about right now.
For now.
And I have to appreciate Captain Shaw saying, you know what? I take back command. Thank you, acting Captain Riker. I'm going to give you guys some time to, confer amongst yourselves. Come up with your BS story. Get it all in unison.
That was fun.
Because Starfleet's on the way. I gave them a little buzz, and they're coming to get you. Thank you, Captain Shaw, once again.
Captain Shaw is never going to be a perfectly good guy. That's you know what? I'm predicting already. I need to leave that for later in the show.
Leave that for the predictions, sir.
but let me make a present observation then. Captain Shaw is still a bit of a dick.
Oh, well, to say the least.
A bit of a Herbert, as you might say.
And we hope that remains the case. We have seen a little bit of a evolution of that character. That is a word that will come up again in this episode. So you know what? I'm digging Captain Shaw, as are many others. So
yes,
can't fault him for that. I mean, what else is he supposed to do?
I agree. If he just bought into everything right now, it would be boring. That would be
Right.
necessary conflict unnecessarily being removed.
Mhm.
So I'm cool with it too. Yeah,
Sure.
I like it too.
Well, directly from that confab, we go into the corridor for the Picard Crusher confab, where
Yeah.
Crusher is saying that, the Elder Crusher, Doctor, I'm going to go cut open this changeling corpse and see what we can find out there. Have a little autopsy, just for fun. So it gives dad and son a little bit of alone time for a moment. He says, hey, maybe you should think about some Starfleet action. And Jack says,
Ah,
no, I don't think so. I think I'll take a pass on that. So John
hard
says,
pass.
hard pass. Okay, whatever.
Hard
We'll talk.
pass Jack, they call him.
Hard pass, Jack. Yes. So he's going to take a hard pass on that. So that takes us into the opening credits. After which, we have a little bit of Worf and Rafi sparring back there in the District 6 area on Natalis Prime. Actually, I guess this is on the La Serena. They're on the ship.
Right.
And,
Right.
they fight like an old married couple, don't they? They're just bantering back and forth.
This
After,
is nice. I like this relationship
I
with
like
the
this
two of them.
relationship. I like the fact that Worf is kind of like, don't really have to do much to defend myself. Cling, clang, clang, A
The
little bit of
one-handed.
Neo with Agent 6 in the Matrix, just after I was like, whatever.
Oh my God, that's right.
Yep.
Oh, see now I wasn't thinking Matrix, but there is like one-handed fighting, like, oh,
Oh,
you bore
sure.
me in
Yeah.
Matrix. Actually, what I was thinking was more like from Kill Bill, and there are many other martial arts
Mm.
movies where this character shows up, but it's the cruel Master Pei. It's the
Yes.
right? Because he's got the white whiskers, he's got the Fu Manchu mustache and beard. Yeah, he just reminds me of the cruel Master Pei, even though
uh,
he's not very cruel.
Puppet Captain or PU Captain John, why don't you stroke your beard for effect? Oh, I'm sorry. Because your counterpart has one, your Prime Universe version. So you might want to think about growing one.
Well, you know what's funny is I'm using this as my hand, but technically this other thing is a
Yeah.
naked puppet.
Oh, okay.
Run along.
Oh, hopefully it's a girl puppet.
Oh, is it?
Oh, oh.
Look at that! Look at that hairy paw.
This week I definitely have this is dating myself quite a bit, but this week for a brief digression, I'm finding myself taking on like my inner Ed McMahon, Johnny.
Yes, Sahib. Yes. I guess that makes me the Johnny, though.
Yeah,
Wild.
that's quite all right.
It's wild. Oh, wild stuff.
Yes.
Crazy stuff here.
Yes, and the little back and forth when they work is kind of casual and loose. It's a great joke, but also I think sets us up for a moment later, which I don't think was really intended to fake us out at all. So more to come on the beats on that one.
Ooh.
But lo and behold, he said, let's contact Worf's handler and see what we do next. We got to go to this Daystrom, station place, see what's going on. What else did they steal that's so dangerous? So much more than the portal weapon was.
Yeah.
Well, Worf's handler, which actually turns out probably to be Worf's handler's handler, says, nope. Disengage. Don't go there. And they're saying, even now Worf's kind of saying, BS, it's time to, move on this. So
Yeah. I mean, if there's anything that I don't love in a show that I do love, it's repeating beats over and over. So this, it's too dangerous. Don't go in. It's getting tiresome. I hope they move on.
I think they will, but I think it was more, it wasn't less it's too dangerous. It's more like don't screw up by trusting the right people when you get there.
Oh, yeah. By the time you get to the end of the episode, that becomes really clear. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's more of that cautionary note versus them being overly concerned about their well-being. And you know what? Well, we can't go to, what was I was calling the headless Ferengi. I forget his name, Stink or Stench or something. But
oh no, it'll come. Oh, I used to know
or
this. All right.
or
move on, and I'll burst in with it when I look it
up on
Memory Alpha.
Please do that, PU Captain. But we're going to go to one of his known associates, Kryn, faceless not a lot of details current. We're going to find him out in the square, and soon they do, and we'll see a lot more about that. But first, it's back to the Titan area in space, and here
Yeah.
comes the good old Intrepid. Just on cue,
Yeah.
and for odd reasons, they're sending a security detachment via shuttle, no transporters.
That is odd.
That is a
That's
little bit
weird.
odd.
Yes.
Now, in another classic Captain Shaw moment exchange, he's humming a little annoying tune in the turbo shaft with
Ah,
Picard and Riker.
yeah.
Picard says, "Can you just knock that off? It's really annoying." And he says, "Oh, well, whatever." But he says, "I think that we're going to be okay because we've done it. We've saved the galaxy numerous times, and we're just, you know, great beloved characters in the Trek franchise." And Shaw reminds me, he says, "Well, we've had a few mishaps too." Now we'll list those mishaps in the tidbits, I think. But there's a
Mm.
few times that they could be construed as little stumbling blocks for the Captain, Picard, and the Enterprise D crew. So
Yes. Oh, I have a tidbit. You go ahead. I'm writing it down with my
write down
other
your tip.
naked
We don't
puppet.
want you to forget it. You do have hands to write with, don't you, PU Captain John?
Yeah, well, I mean, naked puppets, sure.
Okay, that's true because you are drinking with one of them. So, well, in the first of what I'm going to call WTF moments in this episode, it's Ro Laren.
Oh,
My
Rolaren,
goodness.
Rolaren, Rolaren, Rolaren.
Now, hers was one name that came up many times among many others as far as who
Yeah.
might appear. But I have to admit, the character had kind of fallen off my radar as we gotten into
Oh,
this season,
I
as
was
far as the possibility.
blindsided. I
I'm
had
gonna, yeah,
no clue.
and as it turns out, what a incredibly appropriate choice. No
Yes.
stumbling blocks there as far as her return and the forthcoming explanation of what she's been up to the last 30 years or so.
Right.
And she
Oh,
is here
30
to
years.
interview Riker and Picard, and by God, it's time to talk treason. You
Yeah.
guys may have
Yeah.
gone too far this time, and Picard's pretty PO'd. And
Yeah.
we don't want to PO Picard if we can help it, for sure.
No,
You
no,
know?
no.
So, in the first of a few realizations of his own foreshadowing, Seven of Nine is convinced Jack to put on a Starfleet uniform to blend into the crowd because they're basically being transferred largely over to the Intrepid for debriefing and reassignment. Again,
Yeah.
the purpose of this will become clear by episode's end.
Yes. Yes.
And
Which is nice. That's a nice thing for a mystery. We've talked about that a bit with this series, that we like how
well,
they set up a mystery at the beginning of the
right.
episode. And then by the time you get to the end of the episode, they answer some of the mystery. That's nice.
Well, again, and more to come in the down and dirty, but I'm with you that the only mystery box that's kind of being sustained right now, I'll reserve judgment on being dragged out is the whole what's happening in Jack's head deal. So
Yes.
we're 2 episodes in on that, almost, well, part of 3 actually. So
Yes.
let's see what's happening with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give it a little bit of leeway there. So
Let
he's
it
now kind
let
of
it
blending into the
simmer.
crowd. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's time to interrogate good old Admiral and Captain. And Riker says, "Well, you're pretty PO'd, John Luke. So let me do the talking." Well, of course, in minutes, Riker's
Ah.
out the door. So I'm going to talk to you guys separately. We're going to separate you two and see what your stories are. We're not going to have you try to back each other up in person. And you know what? John Luke tries throwing a few barbs at Ro, and I'm just going to say this: Ro doesn't play. She's down.
No.
Oh, she is there to get down to the business of the hand. So,
It got tough real quick.
yep.
Kind of appreciate that too.
And John throws a lame thing out there. John Luke, says, "Well, how do I know you're not an imposter?" So she whips out her little knife, and you know,
Yes.
as we find
Which
out,
is,
though,
yeah.
it's not really not really proof at all as we come to learn. But
Yeah, yeah, and that was, I mean, that was another great domino that fell. There used to
yes,
be this foolproof test where you cut yourself, and if you bleed, you can't be a changeling, because changelings are, goo, and they take the shape of humans. But we find out in this episode that these changelings, ooh, they ain't done that.
they ain't done that. And there's theory of Beverly Crushers, as far as evolution goes, stay tuned for my thoughts in the I predict section on this point.
Ooh.
Because
Yes.
my predictions are always right on the money. And
Yes.
I'm actually going to double down
Damn
on one
close.
this week.
Ooh. He's doubling down, folks.
So once again, Jack has yet another little vision, little premonition. I finally realized it was actually Beverly's voice speaking this.
This is why I like having closed captioning on while I watch these shows, because they tell you it's Beverly's voice. I'm not sure I would have recognized
so
it. Oh,
I'm
so
glad
you
I
did it with
figured it
your
out. And
ear.
I hope you would have mentioned it if I had not mentioned it, because I probably would have lost a very important plot point. And again, let's see how this plays out in terms of the whole changeling affair.
Agreed.
But find me, hear me, connect us. Okay, interesting. So, and we see more people from the Titan beam over to the Intrepid. I gotta tell you, as a quick comment, maybe it's part of that vision, but the transporters now look like they hurt. Oh God. But it could have been part of the fact he's seeing the red branches appear and all that stuff, So.
It could be, but yeah, you're right. These transporters seem like actually intrusive and not like that magical fairy dust kind of transporter. No, I agree. And there were transporters in the original series. I can't remember which race had them that were like that. That were like really like mix masters.
Yeah, it wasn't the Klingons, but it was something similar where it was just kind of denoted a more ruthless, vicious race, and their transporters followed suit.
Yeah, was it the Romulans? I don't think so.
It could be, but okay, minor point there. And maybe they made them more quick because people like Reg Barkley started having that transporter phobia, where they started seeing big worms in the transporter beam or something if they were in it too long.
Well, and there might be different models. This might be, the X94B, and everybody else is using an earlier model. I mean, Starfleet works like that.
Sure, why not? Well, it's a quick trip over to sick bay, I assume, or at least one part of sick bay.
Yeah.
Time for an intense dissection, which apparently is the only thing that can make a gooey changeling retain his goo. Otherwise, somehow these changelings retain their last human form inside and out.
Wild.
Until they really cut deep.
Yes. Now, these are the undercover changelings, so that kind of makes sense, but we've watched other changelings turn into goo when they die. The specific ones that are placed on Starfleet ships, I guess, maintain their shape for a while, but not just their shape. They are okay. This was something that regular universe John complained about with Captain Vadic, which was she was smoking. You can't smoke if you don't have lungs. Well, now we know some of these changelings have lungs.
Well, and that was going to be my question to Prime Universe Captain John. I'm sure you're perfectly capable of answering it instead.
Mm-hmm.
But does this revelation in any way negate your concerns from last week about the nature of the changelings we're seeing now?
So much has been answered here.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, down to the point of like, I had a big problem with the fact that Vadic's handlers were telling her, I'm threatening you. Go do this or you will suffer. You will suffer at my hand. And of course, my thing about changelings in the Great Link, I know it's very hard to watch a puppet tell you this stuff, isn't it?
Only because as the puppet who's talking about you'll be in danger at my hand is actually operating from the hand. So,
you will die by my hand, which is me, because I'm a puppet. But anyway, traditional changelings are very, if you will, gooey, very mushy when it comes to other changelings. They love each other. But this group this terrorist group of changelings. Very ruthless, even with other changelings. So we're in trouble here.
Well, and it does answer a lot of questions. I think it poses others. Again, predictions for me. But it seems that these changelings, if killed by a phaser in their gelatinous form,
Yeah.
of course, stay in that gelatinous form. However, we
Yes.
now know that if they are killed while in, solid form,
Mhm.
inside and out, they retain that as well. And only through deep cuts can we get back to the gooey nature of our changeling. So again, more to come from on my opinions on that. But
Yes, cool.
one point I could have done without, I guess it was good for a quick laugh, but I think sitting in the forge barfing at the side of herself on the table dead was a little bit much.
Yeah. I mean, it actually did make me think like, wait, I've never considered how I would feel seeing myself dead on a table.
I mean, it's effective and it makes some degree of sense, but I thought, whatever. I guess I'm not very usually very big on seeing puke.
Yes.
Again,
Yes, I agree.
people puke in movies. I mean, when Neo did it in The Matrix, getting back to that movie again, I thought,
Right.
come on, but that's just my own little qualm. So forgive me for that, please.
No, I'm with you. That's a weird phase that entertainment has gone through because in the last 20 years, there's been a lot of vomit.
Yes. So meanwhile, back in the good old conference room, we got Rogue continuing to grill Picard about Jack. Everyone's worried about Jack for whatever
what about
reason.
Jack? What's going on with Jack?
And we get myself straight here. I mean, the side of PU Captain John, especially now when he's got that intense gaze. But we did get the explanation we're looking for as far as what happened to Ro when she pulled that phase on Riker 30 years ago and jumped ship for the Maquis. And you know what? Again, something for down and dirty, but I'll just say I think it was a satisfying explanation. I mean, after a time, the Maquis became irrelevant and disbanded.
Yeah.
We saw this during Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
And okay, so I think she was very honorable in turning herself in. She had to pay her price. She was court-martialed again, presumably back on the stuff, back, breaking up rocks again.
Back
and
on the chain gang. Do. Puppets love pretenders. Everyone knows that.
Oh, now I do.
And changelings would probably like pretenders. Right?
Well, yeah. Right.
Name of the episode's Imposters, people.
Yes. I think that's a very acute observation there, PU Captain John.
I'm pretty acute and cute in my own ways.
Oh, you're adorable.
I do. Why, thank you, sir.
No, but and the fact that she's now commander.
Yes.
Ro Laren, which might seem in a normal Starfleet career to be kind of a low rank, it actually makes a lot of sense. She had to climb back slowly. Yeah. And it would take a long time for her to get back in the graces, and especially now she's working within Starfleet security. So
right.
It was a path back to redemption, and she doesn't even consider it redemption. Is an interesting point. I'm kind of delving into down and dirty for a moment, but the fact that she just did the right thing, no matter whether it was the Maquis at this instance or Starfleet, on these occasions, it didn't matter what the institution was in her mind. It was doing the right thing. So it's a very important character development there. So she decides, well, you know what? Let's go for a little stroll, Jean-Luc. So they're going down the corridor, and all of a sudden, phaser time. Because Ro's starting to suspect, let's make sure that Jean-Luc is of the Jean-Luc I know and love. So once again, I hope this is the last time we'll probably see it one more time in the last episode, maybe, but I've had my fill of 10 forward on the holodeck, but okay, let's go there again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
well, it was preloaded was my reasoning. Like that was already preloaded.
Yeah, although it turned to be very handy for Jean-Luc because let's just kind of hit this little disarm safety protocols button. So I can grab guidance phaser. Now we have a little showdown going on. So at this point, we're kind of wondering, oh, are they going to cheat us and make Ro a changeling? Thankfully not, spoiler. But they have the Jean-Luc and Ro heart-to-heart, the first of 3 heart-to-hearts I detect in this episode, which was very moving and explored aspects of the relationship that we never really thought too much about before. I mean, it all made sense. So after this, they said, you know what? We are who we claim we are. We can trust each other. There's the key word, trust. Yes, I can trust you. Go to commercial. Back from commercial. So now it's time for Ro to share a little bit more about what she's knows is going on in Starfleet and these darn changelings. They're everywhere. Trust no one. What's Beverly been saying all this time? She got that message across to John Luke earlier in the conference room.
Okay.
Trust no one.
I don't know what's going on right now.
Well, but PU Captain John, I'm gonna press forward, hoping that people can see me. But what she is referring to, of course, is a big event getting ready to happen on Frontier Day, which to me smacks of Pearl Harbor, 1941. Let's gather all our ships together. Make them one big target, is what it sounds like. Hope it's a little more complex and interesting than what it appears to be, but there is a danger there. And it all comes back to the same thing. Starfleet wants Jack Crusher. He is the key. And we have yet to find out why. So we're hoping this particular mystery box gets opened and resolved in a timely fashion. Meanwhile, back on Metalis Prime, we have been apprehended by Klin and his cohorts, and they have seemingly Rafi and Worf in custody. And you know what? What better way to entertain ourselves, even though Klin is supposedly a passionless Vulcan? Let's have a little duel to the death, shall we? Worf and Rafi in a match to end all matches. So they go at it. A little bit of knife play. And you know what? The ease with which Worf defended himself earlier during their sparring. Well, you know what? It comes to fruition here because, Rafi slips a knife in Worf's tummy, Oh, he's dead. Well, I don't think anyone was fooled by that for a second. But it's a good ploy for the characters, and that made it effective in the story. Worf, of course, has mastered the Kahless technique of slowing his heartbeat to almost imperceptible detection levels. Just long enough to get the upper hand on Klin's cohorts. And even the Vulcan is surprised. You pull off a really fast one if you can surprise a Vulcan like